What's up, y'all? Sparty here, and I want to do my problems with Sony and HTC video. Now, I'm mainly making this like a two-part video because a lot of my problems kind of converge kind of make sense for both companies. And clearly this isn't an HTC U11 or HTC 10 or 1M9 or a Sony Xperia Z, not Z, X or anything like that. I've had an Xperia XA. I gave it to my dad so I can get my G4 back. But yeah, as far as this video goes, my problems with both companies are pretty much identical. And what I want to talk about here is my problems with Sony are this and HTC are this. Both of the companies don't seem to know what to do with their phones. You know, it's like they don't read the market. Like, they see what the market's doing. They're like, oh, well, guess what? We'll do this, but we won't put wireless charging in there. I mean, I'm pretty sure Sony phones have wireless charging. The higher end phones do. But I'm talking about in particular HTC with this one. They have a glass back, but no wireless charging. And I know it's not necessarily glass, but they say it is. And it doesn't necessarily make sense if it is some sort of like variant of glass to not have wireless charging when every single player on the market, aside from Apple and Google, your main competitors, LG and Samsung, are putting wireless charging into their phones. Now, as you guys know, I'm not a fan of wireless charging. I don't necessarily think it's a gimmick, but it's just not something I value in a phone, really. Which is why I'm kind of salty that LG ditched the removable battery for wireless charging. But it's whatever. They want to do that. Or at least a metal build. It's whatever. With Sony, and that's pretty much... Ooh, no. With HTC, my issue is that they removed the fucking headphone jack. They conformed. You know, they basically went with whoever did it first. It wasn't Moto or Apple. It was it wasn't. I think it was Leeco. It was either Leeco or Xiaomi. It was one of the fucking two. So it was one of those, and Motorola. They went with Leeco or Xiaomi. They went with Moto, which Moto quickly dialed back and put a headphone jack in their Moto Z Play of last year. And they went with Apple with removing the headphone jack. Now, the issue is not removing the headphone jack if you have something that'll go... if you have a USB Type-C, you know, either dongle or whatever, or headphones to go in the box, which they clearly do. But the issue is that it's proprietary. It only works with their phones. It only works with the HTC Bolt, the HTC 10, and the HTC U11. Sorry, I need some fucking water or something, but... And that's an issue because it's USB Type-C, but they did something with the pin so that it only works with their phones, which is stupid. It's kind of a similar thing that Apple does when it comes to, oh, it's just Lightning. But there's no lightning port on a MacBook Pro. Or anything like that. Or just a regular ass USB port. And that's stupid. But I'm not talking about Apple. I'm talking about HTC and Sony. And that's pretty much all that I really have gripes with HTC about is that. The aluminum build, whatever. Them ditching that, whatever. I can get over that. I don't necessarily care how good the phone looks. I just care how durable the phone looks. And if it's durable enough, fine. And pretty much converging the points that I have on both of them is that both HTC and Sony overprice their phones. Both HTC and Sony don't read the market. And Sony in particular, since they've not necessarily been successful, they don't capitalize on having, you know, remote play on their phones or tablets or anything like that, you know, so that you can play your PS4 on the go or in your bathroom or anything like that, which is like a dream come true since your Vita isn't water resistant or anything like that. And it's fucking stupid because it's like, when you have these features that you can't get anywhere else aside from if you root the phone and, like, you know, Frankenstein the shit to work on there, it's essentially an exclusive feature. And they've backed down from having, like, the Xperia Play, you know, the phone with the slide up controller that you can play PS1 games on and shit. That's probably perfect for emulation. If they were to make an up-to-date version of that, I'd buy that in a heartbeat. I don't fucking understand. And what HTC, the problem with HTC is, again, that they overprice their phones, but that they also essentially just made a combination of the HTC U Ultra and the HTC 10 and called it the U11 and put the, you know, the Sense, the HTC Edge Sense on there. And it's like, I don't see that as a gimmick at all. I think it's actually a pretty cool feature. It's actually pretty innovative and stuff like that. But as far as what it can do, is not necessarily the greatest as far as usability goes. And I feel like HTC has lost their identity as far as what they do, because they no longer push headphone audio. That has gone to LG now. They no longer push dual front-facing speakers. That's ZTE's thing now. They do still have stereo speakers, but they're no longer the first, and they're more of one of the best at it now. We'll see what Samsung and LG do with the Note 8 and V30 if they have any sort of dual speaker array, which they should, because at this point in time it's fucking stupid not to. Both HTC and Sony don't push camera tech necessarily too far. They don't do a lot. Whereas, where in video they do great with, you know, the 960 frames per second slow-mo with the new Sony XZ Premium, and where HTC has its 3D audio recording and stuff like that, which is very nice, and those are very cool features. But what I mean is that those are cool features, but they don't do a lot of what, like, say, the V10, V20, what the V30 may do, what the G6 does, and stuff like that, where you can direct the microphones where you please, and they work well. I don't necessarily see me ever zooming into anything just to hear that specific thing. I barely go to concerts. I only went to like one concert in my life. I know I'm boring, right? Nah. But it's not something that's great. And a lot of things that I don't like with Sony have to do with their software, and their camera software specifically, and that there's a separate 4K recording app for the camera when it should just be embedded in the fucking camera app. Like, come on now. That's stupid to me. They finally caught up with everybody else when it comes to the camera looking great, camera quality being great. But that may just be due to the fact that they have 4K screens on their premium products now, which isn't a bad thing. It's not. At least they're pushing tech in that way. But and I also like that they have a fucking camera shutter button too, where nobody else is really doing that. You know, maybe Nokia will come back and do that. We'll see. I hope so. Shit. Because that's what I like about my 1520. But I don't necessarily see them doing anything innovative in the camera space that will make me go to their phones and be like, oh yeah, this is great. I don't necessarily see that. And Sony as well, they're not pushing the audio game, really. Sure, they'll go with your Audio-Technica M50Xs and stuff like that, but I'm talking about Sony is known as an audio company as well, right? They haven't pushed anything other than noise cancellation solely with the earbuds that they give you and stuff like that, which is stupid. Which HTC is doing the same thing, but that shouldn't be a thing that they do. They should make it so that every single headset you use has some sort of, that it benefits every single thing. Sony does the same thing when it comes to the PlayStation 4 Gold and Platinum headsets, where it has a headset companion app on the PS4 that allows you to do all that. Sure, it makes sense because it's made for it, but you should have you should have a specific app for every single fucking headset that someone may have, so that every single headset could sound good, And I'm not saying that headphone performance is lackluster necessarily on like any HTC or Sony phone, but I feel they can push it harder because HTC was known for pushing mobile, audio. Sony is known for audio, so why not push it? And Sony just needs to come up with a new design, honestly. It's kind of bland. It's kind of bland now and boring. I don't care about design, but for the people that do care, it makes sense for them to push the design. And while I'm holding a V20, which is one of the more bland designs that LG has ever made. But as far as both go, they need to come up with a more sleek, more modern design. Because the bezels need to go away next time around. Like, I know people want their front-facing fingerprint scanner and stuff like that, but it just needs to go. Because it wouldn't make sense to have one big bottom bezel and one no bezel on the top. But yeah, Sony and HTC need to do that. Now, what Sony is doing is they still have front-facing speakers, which is nice, but they're still not very loud. You could say that's due to water resistance, but the G6 is water resistant and has a loud speaker. The HTC U11 has a loud-ass dual speaker array as well, and is also water resistant. The iPhone 7 is also water resistant, and they both have dual stereo speakers. So saying that using water resistance as a reason to not have loud speakers is stupid to me in this day and age. But yeah, that's it. Let me know what your guys' issues are with HTC and Sony. Again, I don't hate these companies like I've said before. I enjoy all products from any company, but these are just my issues as far as what each company is doing. But yeah, this is Sparta. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for the support, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day or night.